it is now time then that we get to our main event, the presentation of the Lifetime Achievement Award. And to introduce our honoree today, we have one of our past Lifetime Achievement Award recipients. I believe it was 2008, Nestor, that you and your brother Michael received that award together. And it was a tremendously well-deserved honor for both of you. And it is my great pleasure then to have you come and introduce the newest member of this Lifetime Achievement Award Club, if you will.
Thank you, Stan. What a privilege it is for me to have the opportunity to have me introduce George Laham. This guy is an amazing, amazing gentleman. And by the way, he is the youngest recipient in the history of this award.
About 20 years.
At least that. In any event, George graduated from Kansas University in 1985. Immediately upon graduation, decided to come back and pursue his dream of real estate, commercial real estate. And J.P. Wygand was fortunate enough to have him decide that this is the direction he wanted to go. And so he joined J.P. Wygand in 1986. I can remember my brother saying to me after he was interviewed, "Nestor, do you really think he's old enough to have graduated from college?" Because George looked like he was about 16 at that time. Yeah. In 1995, he started the Laham Development Company, which was his desire to always be a developer, and he started that in 1995. The several developments that I'll refer to, I think that the one that he is the most proud of was the Bradley Fair, which was obviously that lifestyle center that was the first in Kansas and one of the first in the United States, and certainly one that is incredible that a young man his age could have put that deal together. Other developments that he has been involved in are the Wilson Estates, which is a 320-acre mixed-use development, the Plazio, which is at 13th and Greenwich, which is where the Warren Theater and all those other developments are, the Walsher Luxury Collection, which was formerly the Schofield Luxury Collection, which is the entire array of those luxuries from Mercedes to BMW to Porsche to Range Rover. Regency Lakes, which is a 400,000 square foot development at 21st and Greenwich. And then most recently, he's involved in a 202-unit apartment complex, the River Vista, which is on the west bank of the Arkansas River with some other partners. George is on the board of directors of Fidelity Bank. He is on the board of directors of the Kansas Cancer Society and likewise the Wichita Grand Opera. He and his beautiful wife, Jocelyn, have two great sons. It's my privilege to introduce George Laham.
Thank you. Thank you, Nestor. Well, there's some days it feels like a lifetime, and some days it feels like it was just yesterday. But no, I'm very, very honored to be here today, and can't tell you enough to the Wichita CCIM chapter of what it means to me to be honored today. So thank you for all those involved. Thank you very much, and Stan, thanks for all that you do for the chapter. And as I was thinking about today, I looked back to 1986 when I graduated from KU, and I wanted to come back to Wichita and work in commercial real estate. And I'd met Herb at through a friend of mine at KU, and which eventually got me in touch with the general manager at JPY again. And so I met with the general manager and told him, I was going to get out of school in May and wanted to come work at the firm. And he says, well, so we're just not sure we have a position for you. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm coming to Wichita and I really need a job. And this kind of went on for a while. And so I finally asked him, I said, would it be possible could I meet Nestor? And he said, well, sure. So I come back down, I had a few interviews, I come down and Nestor was kind enough to see me. And so the general manager at the time, his name was Tom, but it wasn't Tom Johnson, it was another Tom. Tom Johnson came later. So I come down and do the interview with Tom, and he says, Nestor will be in to see you in just a minute. So, okay, thank you. So Nestor comes in, we talk for about 20 minutes, and don't talk about real estate. We talk a little bit about this and that. He leaves the room, says, well, nice to see you. I said, well, thank you. Tom comes back in and says, congratulations, welcome to YGAN. I said, oh, great, well, thank you. Well, come to find out, what Nestor said on the way out the door, kind of echoing what he said earlier, was Tom walks out and says, Tom, I don't think the kid's old enough to shave, but hire him. Speaking of Nestor, really, Herb and Nestor have done so much for my career and have been such an influence, not only my career, but my life. So, special thank you to both of them. And really, I started the development company in 1995, and when I went to go tell Nestor, I said, Nestor, it's been 9 years I've been here, and thanks, and I'm gonna go do this development company thing and get an office out east. But I always want to stay close to the company. I always want the company to represent Laham Development on my deals. I said, George, that's great. Good luck. Everything sounds fine, but one thing. And I said, what's that? And he goes, you're not leaving the building. And today, Laham Development still offices at 150 North Market at JPY. I want to talk just real quickly about CCIM, what it means to me. In the late 80s, when I got out of school, I would always go to Herb for advice. And with Herb, education is everything. And so when we talked about what I needed to be doing, he says, you have to take the CCIM courses. It wasn't an option. He said, either take the courses or get out of the business. It's that simple. That's how strongly he impressed upon me. And when Herb impresses upon you, he can impress. And so they were a little expensive at the time, as I think they still are today, but well, worthwhile. But it took me 5 years to do it because I could only afford to do so many in a year. So it took me 5 years to get my CCIM. And I will tell you, it's nice to see the honorees up here today for the recipients of the award. But I got to tell you, I think I finally got my CCIM in 1992 after taking the 5 classes and doing the final. That's back when the final used to be like an 8-hour deal. So you guys get off easy today with that 4-hour thing. So anyway, but I got to tell you, the tools that I learned from CCIM really helped me so much in my career and continues to help me today. So I just think if you're going to be in this industry, I just think it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to have those courses available and what it can do for your business. Just a couple of points along the way in my lifetime. I feel like I need to retire or something. It's a lifetime achievement deal. So anyway, it's all yours. Here's my phone. In 1995, when we started Laham Development, one of the first things that we did is went and made a deal with the Wilson family to buy Wilson Estates, and that was kind of the impetus for the company, and really is where we started. So when we started developing Wilson Estates, we had started Bradley Fair already in 1990, continued to expand it, and then brought Ritchie's in to do the residential. Paul Jackson came in and did the office park and did a wonderful job with it. So we really had good partners in developing Wilson Estates. And as we moved it forward, was looking ahead and saying, where do we go next? Once things were kind of in motion, and that's when we went out to 13th and Greenwich, 21st and Greenwich, 21st and Andover, and that was all in the 1997, 1998. Started developing, and one thing about being a dirt speculator in Wichita, Kansas, don't ever sell your tractor. You know, while we've gotten through a lot of it, a lot of the ground at 21st and Greenwich and 13th and Greenwich, you know, we still have ground and we're still moving through it. So that's kind of been the basis for the company for the last 20 years, and there's still a ways to go in East Wichita with what we're doing, but we're looking ahead. As Nestor mentioned earlier, we decided to join the downtown renaissance. I know what Dave Burke started over 20 years ago with Old Town, and today downtown has a great spirit. It's got a really a great vibe. We decided to get involved with Dave and others in the River Vista project, which is going to open when? In May. Didn't say what year. But yes, it's going to open in May. And anyway, we're proud of River Vista. We think that, you know, it's certainly changed the landscape of downtown and can kind of show us as a city what our downtown can look like, what else that we can do on the river. So we're working hard to do it right and to really set the bar for other things to happen along the river. So we're looking forward to getting it open, as I think everybody else is as well. But again, great time to be in Wichita. As I mentioned, there's just a great spirit. And you know, I was born and raised here, and I think many of you can agree that really it's about as good a spirit and momentum as we've really had in this town, is what we're experiencing right now. And it's the Innovation Campus. It's downtown. It's Cargill. It's Spirit. It's just so many good things. And I think that, you know, that vibe is also it carries over to some of the things that need to happen. We talk about job growth, and we want jobs in this community, but there's so much competition among cities these days for jobs, and we've got to create, and we are creating, a city that's desirable and that companies want to move here. And part of that is lifestyle. They've got to want to live here because we offer the entertainment and the services and the retail, and have a vibrant downtown that people want to be a part of. And I think we're going the right direction. I think we're kind of at a defining moment. I think we really are. And what we're going to do with this spirit and this momentum is really up to us, and particularly us as commercial real estate industry, because we do have a lot to do with shaping this community. So city leadership is important, but it's really people like us in our industry are the ones that can shape the vision and make it happen. I kind of look at the river and what we did at River Vista, what Dave has done in Old Town, and I kind of look at Wilson Estates back in 1995 when it was just a horse farm, and said, let's create a vision for it and see what we can make out of it. And I kind of look at parts of downtown and the river today as we looked at River Vista and said, what can we take this dirt, great dirt on the banks of the Arkansas River, what can we do, and what can we do to create something special? And I think with River Vista, I think that we're going to kind of, again, like I said, set the bar for other things to happen. The city has plenty of opportunities ahead of it with Century 2, the Convention Center. I think Delano has a lot to offer this community, and I think it's the up-and-coming area of downtown. Of course, Lawrence Dumont Stadium, there's work to be done there, but we're looking forward to the city's efforts in bringing a ball club to Wichita and continued riverfront development. There's plenty of development to be done with all the projects that we just talked about. I think if you look at them all and you add them up, there's probably $1 billion worth of development, both private and public, that need to occur in this community in the next 10 years. $1 billion. If we want to take this city forward, and I think we talk about the spirit and this momentum, we've got the opportunity to do it. But we as a community, we as the commercial real estate industry, got to be the ones that get behind this. The city is here to support, but it takes leadership from all of us to move it ahead. It's the entrepreneurial spirit that built this community, and I believe it's the entrepreneurial spirit that's created kind of this rebirth and will carry us forward. Well, again, I just want to talk a little bit about Wichita, where I think we are. I think we're in a great place. Again, I want to thank all of you for this award today, and I promised I'd keep it short and sweet, like me. And well, it is a lifetime achievement. There is still a lot to do, and we plan to be a part of it, as I know all of you do in the city as well. Thank you.
Well, George, don't take a seat yet, because we are now at the final moment here where we actually confer to you the actual award itself.
Hi, Stan, I want to say one thing.
Well, Herb always gets to say one thing.
Andy, I don't know, my avocation is mentoring young people. And believe it or not, there's 2 or 3 or 4 people here in this room that I've mentored. And so George, to be honest with you, is my superstar of everybody I've ever mentored. But he has come to me, on a lot of the decisions he made, he would come to me and I would bless them. Now, what he didn't understand, that he never did a bad deal. So our success rate was unbelievable. He attributes that to me, and really the fact that he knew how to make deals. But the funniest of my entire life is George is, let's say, 35 to 40 years old. He comes to me and he says, Herb, I got $6 million in cash. I want to know what you think I ought to do with it. He said, what I want to do, he said, I want to go buy 2 Walgreens, and I'll have, 60, whatever thousand, what is that? 600,000 a year income for the rest of my life. I could retire. I looked at him, I said, George, you are the dumbest son of a bitch I've ever met in my life. And he says, well, why? I said, George, what business are you? He said, I'm in the development business. I said, what do you need to develop? Land. I said, why don't you go buy $6 million of land in key locations? And you know the locations he mentioned? He went and bought them. He's done well. God bless him.
Every year, we have a committee that gets together with the CCIM chapter to discuss and to select each year's honoree. And I can't tell you how many years George's name has been on that list. And every year, people say, well, he can't get a Lifetime Achievement Award. He's too young. And this year, we came through and we looked at, we said, this is ridiculous. If this is all he ever does, this is work that certainly merits the impact that he's had on our community, the impact that he has at the university and the role that he plays. He's not even a shocker by pedigree, but boy, he commits and he gives to us at Wichita State and gives. This is a little story. I had students who were involved in a development class one time, and they were given a parcel of ground. Actually, it was out at 21st and Greenwich before there was anything at 21st and Greenwich. I think maybe Target had just opened there. And one of the students had the gumption to call up George and say, hey, we're working on a project and wondered if we could chat with you. And George said, well, no, I don't have time to do that right now. But tell you what, how many of you? 4 of you? Great. Here's my address. Come over to my house Saturday morning. I'll make you breakfast, and we can sit down and talk about your project. And that's the kind of way that he invests in people himself. And so it was very clear that he was an unquestioned recipient for the Lifetime Achievement Award. And the kicker this year, as I said, if we go back, and Dave, I see you there, and one of our past Lifetime Achievement Award recipients, I said, if you go and you take that signature project that George had with Bradley Fair and then everything that follows, it's been as many years since he began that project as it was for David when you had begun Old Town to when you received the Lifetime Achievement Award. And so now the question that we have for George, and I think the gauntlet has been thrown down for you, is will you become our first 2-time Lifetime Achievement Award winner when you come back and you've completed all the future projects that we have yet to imagine, but I'm sure are in your mind. And so with that, it is my great privilege to present to George Laham the 2017 Kansas CCIM Chapter and WSU Center for Real Estate Lifetime Achievement Award. George, you're in the middle. As always, we try and choose something that is an original work of art or an original work of art. And so once again, this was an idea that Rod Stewart came up with to have a piece of carved art class with us. And so we're very pleased to present this to you. And with that, I thank you so much for joining us out here at Wichita State University. I pray you all have a wonderful and blessed holiday, and we are adjourned. Thank you.